Hey, this is Charles Caldwell, and this is the video update for Milestone 1 for app deployment 2. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to jump on the computer and take a look at the app as it's running on a Moto X, and right next to that we'll have a list of some of the features that we're going to be in Milestone 1, and we'll just kind of go through that and check them off as we see them in the app. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on the computer and take a look. Okay, here we are on the computer. We can see my Moto X running over here on the left in Visor, and on the right we have our checklist items, our task items from Milestone 1. So we'll just kind of jump through and make sure we hit all these. So let's pop right in and take a look. Now, as you can see, we have no entries in this so far, so we have this nice little message here that lets us know that we can hit this button to add additional entries. And in the final design, there will be another tab over here and another tab over here, but for the time being, we just have the Entrees tab. The Entrees tab is the only one that was required in Milestone 1. So we see the floating action button, and the user can choose that in order to add a new app or a new entree. And then we have our new entree screen. So let's just kind of take a look at this. The user can enter an entree name, the restaurant name. They can enter their a rating. They can enter whether or not this is their go-to food. And the rating based on different colors. That is a design choice for the main screen. And then the details, which is a little helpful hint there, and additional notes there. And then the user will be able to take a photo, which we will demo all these in just a second. So the take photo button is there. We see that. We saw these buttons here, which I really like the move to smiley faces. I thought that was a much better design choice for the user. Save button validation, so let's check that real quick. We haven't entered any information, so if we hit save, it's letting us know that we at least need an entree name and a restaurant name, which makes sense. You know, without an entree name, there's not really no point to the app at all, since the point of the app is to record what entree you ate at a specific restaurant, and the name of the restaurant is required so that we can differentiate between entrees. For instance, we differentiate between a cheeseburger you had at Denny's and a cheeseburger you had at Burger King. Now, I should just take a quick moment to point out that the restaurant name won't actually propagate and is not actually saving to the database quite yet. That functionality is actually in Milestone 2. Just to show you here, see the restaurant details and the actual restaurant home screen. All the functionality for the restaurant piece of the data is in Milestone 2. So until that is in place, this restaurant portion here does not actually work at the moment. So let's go ahead and punch some information here. And just took a quick photo there, hitting save. And then there is our very odd looking cheeseburger. Now, a couple of things to point out. You'll notice that the image is there. We have the name down here, and we have the color that is based on the rating that we gave it. So let's take a look at the items that we promised. This is the grid view, so we'll add. Why don't we just go ahead and add one more just to show that it is a grid view. And here is a second item that I just added just now to show that it is a grid view. And I also did a couple other things with this just to point out that there is a default image. If the user does not take a photo, they get this default image here. And the gray is actually due to not having a rating, because remember, the only things we require is an entree name and a restaurant name. But we see it's in a grid view. We see the grid items here, and we are reading these from disk. These are being saved to the device. We have a grid of images of the entrees in the app, a grid of the entree names, and we have a grid of color-based on whether the user likes something or not. And we saw the validation. We saw that it is saving, and we mentioned. Did we mention this? I did put in a feature request to have the quick notes photo feature removed. Like I mentioned a couple times in the notes on Trello, is simply because it wasn't melding with the design of the app and design of the different screens. I felt there was a lot more opportunity to really flesh out that particular feature, and it would actually put me over deadline. So I label that as more something that would be added in a real commercial situation, but not so much in App Deployment 2. So let's click into one of these and take a look at the details screen. There we go. So we get the image up here, kind of a zoomed in version of the image, and we get the name, and so the photo at the top is up there. We have an edit button here, though there is no functionality for that right now because the edit button, the edit screen, will be part of week's Milestone 2. So the code is there. The code is there, it's sitting there, but it's commented out. It's ready to go. So, and we have a share button, so you can share the details. Let's take a look at that. Let's just shove it over to Gmail. So we see we get the entree name and the details. So if I wanted to email this to someone so they could pick me up one of these, or if I want to share this on Facebook, I don't have Facebook on my phone, but let's just say I wanted to share this on Facebook, I could share out the entree name and any notes I have about the entree. So that's the share button. That we mentioned the edit button. There's a favorite button. Now this is currently our go-to entrees, but what happens, we'll take a look at what this does with the other item that we entered in just a second. We see all the text views, mentioned that the restaurant won't quite work yet until Milestone 2. We have the rating here. You can actually dynamically, you don't have to go into the edit screen to change your rating. Because like I said, with this app, you're most likely to enter in all this information before you eat it, but the rating you will actually enter in after you eat it. So it makes sense that you could change this much more easily than going in and, say, editing all the information. So say, you know, we want to change that, we can go back here and then we can see it actually changed the color there. So let's jump into this one and see that this is not our go-to entree, but if we click this, we see that it can be here, and we can also undo that with this little snack bar down here. And we can make a rating there. And you notice down here, whoops, went way too fast. And you'll notice down here that we have the NA and NA that defaults for those. One other nice little thing here is we'll notice that we can scroll up and we get that nice little effect up at the top. So let's just show that these are being sorted correctly. Let's actually do a little switcheroo. Let's label this one as a awesome one, and we'll notice that it pops up to the front of the line. So we show that interacts, these two actually interact with the database immediately. There's a lot of stuff that we did in the code, but if I were, giving this to a client, I probably wouldn't bore them with all the details of the code. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about the structure of the code, or why I might have chosen to do one thing over another. I'd be more than happy to discuss that. So I think that's all I got for you for Milestone 1. Did we think we hit everything here? We did hit some issues, but I mentioned those in comments, and we have a couple change requests. I'm looking forward to busting out week 2, where we will cover the edit screen for the entrees, a restaurant screen on the home screen, which we will see over here. There'll be another tab for that, and then we will actually do the restaurant details, where we get a little bit of information about the restaurants and our go-to items and any items we have tried there. So I'm definitely going to submit some change requests for this new screen here, the new entree screen. I think there might be some opportunity to do this a little better here once I start digging into the restaurant portion of the data. So, but until then, I will submit those. Maybe if I submit those at all, I'll probably submit them on Monday or Tuesday. So keep an eye out for those. So, but until next week, thank you for watching.